We grew up like sisters, laughing, crying, sharing everything. But now she looks at me like I'm dirt under her shoes. One moment at a family gathering shattered everything. My aunt mocked my major again, as usual, but this time my cousin smirked in agreement. I snapped. I said something I shouldn't have. Now, her eyes are filled with hate. I tried to make peace, but she humiliated me at university. What she didn't expect was that I'd turn the pain into power. This is how I made her regret ever belittling me, and it didn't involve screaming or revenge. Just evolution. They say cousins are your first best friends, and for the longest time, that was true for us. From the moment we could walk, we were inseparable, two little girls, running barefoot through the garden at family barbecues, sharing secrets under blankets during sleepovers, and making promises we were too young to understand. She wasn't just my cousin. She was my person. The one who laughed with me at the smallest things, who cried with me when our grandpa passed, and who stood beside me like a shadow during every birthday, every celebration, every rough patch. Our mom sisters always made it a point to bring us together. Family was everything. But as we got older, something started to shift. It was subtle at first. Little comments from my aunt like, "Wow, you're so organized, unlike my daughter." Or, "Your cousin's always been the mature one." Back then, it felt like teasing, but there was an edge. A sharpness that cut deeper than I realized. School was the first battlefield. I was the academic one, obsessed with grades and making the honor roll. She was more relaxed, always surrounded by friends, never seeming to worry about results. Our moms constantly compared us. If I aced a test, it was expected. If she got a B, it was celebrated like a victory. If I struggled emotionally, it was brushed off. But if she had a hard day, the whole family paused to cater to her. I started to feel like I had to earn attention while she simply received it. Despite this, I stayed loyal. When she was heartbroken over her first crush, I was there. When she failed a class in high school and felt like she let everyone down, I stayed up all night helping her study for retakes. I didn't care about the comparisons. She was my cousin, my friend, my blood. But the comparisons never stopped, they just evolved. When it came time for university applications, I applied for a competitive program, the one I had dreamed of for years. She didn't even know what she wanted to do. My aunt told everyone at the family gathering that my cousin was too creative for a boring degree, and that the language course she enrolled in was more cultured. She said this while directly looking at me, as if my major was somehow shameful. My mom, who always stayed quiet during these jabs, gave a tight smile. I tried to laugh it off. I always did. But something in me was cracking. That year, we started seeing less of each other. I'd ask to hang out, and she'd cancel last minute. At family events, she was cold. I'd catch her and her mom whispering, and then feel their eyes on me. The warmth between us gone. The jokes turned passive-aggressive. The hugs turned stiff. The girl I once called my sister now looked at me like I was her competition. Still, I kept trying. Because deep down, I hoped it was just a phase. That maybe she was struggling and didn't know how to say it. But the more I tried, the more I was pushed away. One night, at another family dinner, my aunt made a sly remark about how some people pick degrees when they don't know what to do with their life, and my cousin chuckled under her breath. I looked at her, really looked, and saw it in her eyes. Resentment. She resented my achievements, maybe because her mom kept comparing us. Maybe because she felt like she was always second place. But instead of talking to me, she turned against me. That night, I stayed up crying. Not because of what they said, but because I realized I had lost her. And the worst part? I had no idea how we got here. We were the perfect cousins. Everyone used to say so. We had matching bracelets, inside jokes, and dreams of traveling the world together. Now I couldn't even get a text back. What changed? Was it the family comparison? Was it jealousy? Or was it me? Did I shine too brightly in rooms that made her feel dim? I started doubting myself, dimming myself, speaking less at gatherings, not mentioning school, trying to make her feel seen. But no matter how small I made myself, she treated me like I was the problem. Looking back, I realize now I was never the enemy. I was just a mirror. A mirror that reflected things she didn't want to see in herself. And instead of working on her own path, she chose to break the mirror. It was supposed to be just another harmless family gathering. One of those Sunday afternoons filled with the smell of grilled chicken, kids screaming in the backyard, and adults pretending to care about each other's lives. I showed up hoping for peace. Hoping maybe this time would be different, that my aunt wouldn't take a jab at me, that my cousin wouldn't look through me like I was invisible. Foolish hope. The house was loud with chatter, the dining table overflowing with dishes, rice, lamb, salads, all laid out like a Middle Eastern feast. My mom and her sister were in the kitchen, voices bouncing off the tiles, swapping stories that sounded more like passive competitions than updates. I smiled politely, greeting everyone, trying to shrink into the background. But no matter how small I made myself, I was always a target. We all sat down to eat. That's when it started. "So," my aunt said, loud enough for the whole table to hear, "how's that major of yours going again? Still learning about—" What was it? Theoretical things that don't pay. She laughed like it was the funniest thing ever said. Her voice had that sweet, condescending sugarcoat that always made me feel 10 years old. Everyone chuckled, awkwardly. My mom gave me a look, half warning, half pleading. "Don't say anything." I forced a smile. "It's going well, thanks. Just finished a research project I'm proud of." "Oh, research," my aunt echoed, raising her eyebrows. "That's cute." I guess it must be hard finding real-life applications for that kind of thing. She stabbed her fork into a grape leaf like it was my ego. And then there was that smirk. My cousin sitting across from me looked up, met my eyes, and smiled. Not warmly, not in solidarity, but with the kind of smugness that said, "You'll never be enough for her." Like she enjoyed watching me squirm. That broke something in me. All those years of trying to stay kind, of swallowing my pain, of making myself smaller so others could feel big. It bubbled up fast, sharp, uncontrollable. I looked straight at my cousin, voice calm but cutting. Well, at least my grades were good enough for a full degree. Not just a crash course in a new language. The table froze, dead silence. My aunt's fork stopped midair. My mom gasped softly, and my cousin, oh, her face. The smirk evaporated. Her mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. Her eyes widened, not just from shock, but from pain. Real, raw pain. I had hit her where it hurt most, the truth she already feared deep down. That she hadn't made it into a full program. That the language course was plan B, that maybe she wasn't as above me as her mother made her feel. I wanted to take it back the second I said it, but it was too late. The damage was done. She looked away, blinking fast, her jaw clenched. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't look superior. She looked wounded, betrayed. I had become the monster she always imagined I was. My aunt, stunned for a second, recovered quickly. "Wow," she said, voice low and angry. "So that's how you talk to your family now? You think you're better than us because of a piece of paper?" I didn't respond. My heart was pounding too hard. I stared at my plate, suddenly nauseous. The silence that followed was louder than anything I could have said. My mom gently touched my arm under the table, her signal that we should leave soon. But we didn't rush. We just quietly picked at our food while the warmth drained from the room, like someone had opened a window in winter. I barely remember the rest of that evening. The drive home was quiet. My mom didn't yell, she just sighed. "I know they push your buttons," she said softly, "but that wasn't like you." "I know," I whispered, tears brimming. "I just snapped." She nodded. "That's what they want, to get a rise out of you. Don't give them that power." But she didn't know how hard it had been. Years of being mocked, diminished, dismissed. And the one time I pushed back, I became the villain. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing her face, my cousin, once my best friend, looking at me like I had broken something beyond repair. Maybe I had. Maybe the bond was already cracked and I just shattered what was left, but part of me couldn't forget how she smiled while I was being humiliated, how she joined in, how she enjoyed it. I didn't start this war. But in that moment, I became a soldier in it, and even though I regretted my words, I also felt something else. Something unfamiliar. Power. For the first time, they didn't get the last word. "I did," And maybe, just maybe, they realized I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. Campus was always my sanctuary. The noise of the city faded out when I walked past the front gates. The air felt focused, calm, like everyone had their own mission. It was the one place I felt like I could just be myself, no family expectations, no comparisons, just me trying to build something. It had been a few weeks since that dinner. Since I said the one thing I promised I never would. I hadn't seen her since. And to be honest, I wasn't sure what I'd say if I did. I just hoped I wouldn't. But fate, of course, had other plans. I had 2 final exams left, and I was heading to the library that morning, headphones in, iced coffee in hand, mentally reviewing notes. That's when I saw her, my cousin, standing with 2 of her classmates near the fountain, laughing, flipping her hair like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong. My heart skipped. It wasn't fear. It was that old instinct, the one that used to make me run up and hug her. The one that remembered when she was my person. And despite everything, I smiled. My feet moved on their own. "Hey," I called out softly but genuinely. She turned, and for a split second I saw recognition in her eyes. But it wasn't warmth. It was cold. Ice cold. Her eyes scanned me up and down like I was a bug on her windshield. And then she snapped. "What do you want?" Not a question. A dismissal. A punch in the gut. Her friends burst out laughing loud, performative laughter that wasn't even about the joke. It was about who the joke was aimed at. Me. I froze. My hand still mid-wave. The smile fading so fast it probably looked cartoonish. I didn't even know how to respond. My brain scrambled for anything that wouldn't make this worse. "I just wanted to wish you good luck," I said, voice barely above a whisper. She didn't respond. She just turned back to her friends, already done with me. I stood there for one more second too long, probably then turned and walked away. My legs felt like concrete. My chest was tight. And no matter how many times I told myself, "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry," the tears welled up. I ducked into the back entrance of the library, found the nearest empty study booth, and just sat there, heartbroken, not because she embarrassed me, not because her friends laughed, but because she hated me now fully, truly, irreversibly, and I didn't understand how we got here. Was it really just that one comment, or had she been waiting for an excuse to shut me out? Had she been resenting me all along, smiling to my face while secretly wishing I'd fall flat on mine? The questions played on repeat in my head. I kept flashing back to the sleepovers. The times we cried over dumb boys and midnight pizza. The time we promised we'd be in each other's weddings. I remembered her holding my hand at Grandma's funeral, both of us shaking. That girl, the one who stood beside me when I was at my lowest, where did she go? She was right there by the fountain, laughing like I was nothing, a stranger. And that hurt more than anything. I didn't tell anyone about the encounter, not even my mom. I just buried myself in studying. I told myself if I could focus on finals, I could outrun the ache in my chest. But I couldn't. That moment clung to me like a shadow. It made me question my worth, my kindness, my softness. Was I too naive to think some relationships could survive the world around them? Too hopeful that she'd ever see me as anything other than her rival. I had tried to be the bigger person. I smiled. I approached her with love, and she slammed the door in my face. That day, something inside me shifted. I stopped blaming myself for the past, for being too nice, too patient, too forgiving. Because kindness only works when the other person still has a heart. And in that moment, looking into her cold, hateful eyes, I realized she no longer saw me as family. Maybe she never really did. I didn't want revenge in that moment. I wanted peace. But I knew one thing for sure. I would never let her see me broken again. Something inside me cracked open that day. Not in a dramatic way, not with fire or fury, just a quiet, clean break. After the encounter by the fountain, I stopped chasing closure. I stopped rereading old texts, stopped replaying childhood memories like maybe they'd undo the present. I stopped asking why. Because no matter how many times I went in circles, the answer was always the same. She changed. Or maybe she just showed me who she always was. I went home that night and didn't cry. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my chest hollow but strangely light. I thought of what my mom always told me, you don't owe people your peace, protect it like it's gold. For the first time, I truly heard her. I had spent years making myself smaller so others could feel big, letting my aunt mock me, letting my cousin treat me like a second option. I bent over backwards to maintain a relationship that only I was nurturing. And now, I was done. I didn't want to get even anymore. I wanted to evolve. So the next morning I woke up early. No alarm needed. I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself, really looked. The girl staring back was tired, but still there. Still standing, still whole. I brushed my hair out, changed into my favorite outfit, and gave myself a single instruction. Let's move. I started with the finals. I threw myself into preparation not to prove anything to anyone, but to remind myself of what I was capable of. Every study session was a promise to the version of me who almost let go. Every completed chapter was a brick laid in my comeback. But it wasn't just about books. I started taking care of myself in ways I'd neglected. I upgraded my skincare routine. Started going for walks in the mornings, headphones in, world out. I curated my playlist, deleted old chats, muted accounts that drained me. I didn't block her. I didn't need to, just stopped giving her space in my brain. I also began speaking to people I had unintentionally pushed away. Good people, classmates, old friends, even my professors. I realized I had let one relationship consume so much emotional bandwidth that I had nothing left for people who actually valued me. That changed, fast. And with every passing day, I began to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time: freedom. I stopped checking if she saw my stories. I stopped wondering what she told her friends. I stopped rehearsing fake conversations in my head. Instead, I looked forward, toward the version of me that no longer needed to be liked to feel worthy. I didn't need an audience to clap for me. I just needed to clap for myself. That energy shift? People noticed. Suddenly, classmates were complimenting my confidence. Professors were calling on me more. I wasn't just present, I was glowing, because I wasn't faking it anymore. I was finally aligned with me, and sure, there were moments of weakness. Nights when I still missed her. When I remembered how close we used to be. But those memories didn't paralyze me anymore. They just became ... stories, pages from a chapter I'd closed. And in the space she once occupied, I planted something new: ambition. I started outlining my post-grad goals. Applying for internships, joining a small research group even though it scared me. I took up journaling again, something I hadn't done since high school. And in those pages I let it all out uncensored, unfiltered. All the anger, the disappointment, the grief. But not just about her, about me too, for all the times I stayed silent. For all the versions of me that let people walk over her. And as I wrote, I felt my voice return, not the voice that needed revenge. The voice that simply said, I am not what they say I am. I never was. I didn't plan a dramatic comeback. I didn't plot ways to make her jealous. I didn't pray for a run-in on campus. None of that, because the best revenge was becoming someone she'd never get close to again, not because I hated her, but because I outgrew the version of me who needed her. I didn't plan to see her again on campus. With final exams nearly done and only one class left, I figured our paths were done crossing. But life has a funny way of staging perfect scenes when you least expect it, and just when you're finally strong enough to own them. It was a Thursday morning. Clear skies, just enough sun. I had my last exam in the afternoon and decided to stop by the student center to grab a coffee. I felt good light. I was wearing a soft olive blazer over high-waisted jeans, hair slicked back in a claw clip, my lips lined just right. Nothing extravagant, just clean, pulled together. Effortless. Confidence isn't loud. It walks in quietly and changes the whole temperature of the room. That was me that day. I turned a corner and there she was, leaning against a wall outside the building, scrolling her phone, surrounded by two girls I'd seen her with before. The ones who laughed during the "what do you want" moment. For a split second, the old nerves crept in. That familiar tightness in my chest. But then something incredible happened. I didn't care. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I didn't even want her to acknowledge me. I wanted to walk through that moment, not around it. So I did. I walked right past her, shoulders back, eyes forward. Calm smile on my lips, not fake, just peaceful. I didn't flinch. Didn't pause, didn't even look her way. But in my peripheral vision, I saw everything. Her eyes shot up from her phone. Her head turned, just slightly. The conversation around her stopped for a beat. And her friends? They noticed. You know that quiet shift in body language when someone walks by and the energy just changes? That was it. She didn't call out to me, she didn't smirk, she didn't mock. She just watched me walk by like someone watching a train they missed and maybe now realized they couldn't catch. I didn't look back. I walked straight into the cafe, ordered my drink, and sat near the window, headphones in, playing my favorite playlist. I could see them outside from the corner of my eye, still talking, but quieter now. I smiled, not out of spite, but out of closure. That moment was everything I didn't know I needed. Not because she acknowledged me, but because she didn't, because I finally realized I didn't need her validation. I had outgrown the version of me who chased it, and to seal the moment, I posted a story. Nothing direct, nothing petty. Just a soft flex that spoke volumes without saying a word. A shot of my coffee and laptop. Caption, final stretch. Peace is the new flex. Song playing, SZA, good days, no tags, no drama. Just energy. By that evening, the post had views. One of them? Her, of course. Because that's the thing about silent power. It travels. No yelling, no confrontation, just proof. Proof that I didn't crumble. Proof that I glowed up mentally, emotionally, and unapologetically. The truth is, I never needed her to say sorry. I didn't need her to change. I just needed to return to myself. To walk through campus like I belonged there. To ace my finals without needing applause. To smile without needing to prove a thing. That day wasn't just about her, it was about me. It was about reclaiming the parts of me I gave away to keep peace in places that were already burning. I walked into my exam calm, focused, and already victorious. Because I knew something she didn't. She played the petty game. I played the long one. It's funny how much can change in a few months. I used to dread family gatherings, the tension, the subtle insults dressed as jokes. The comparison game no one admitted playing but everyone joined. But now, I'm not afraid to show up. Not because I want to win, but because I've already won in the only way that matters. By becoming someone I'm proud of. The next gathering is on the calendar. Another birthday, another long table filled with food and small talk. My mom's already picking out her outfit. She asked if I planned to come, half expecting hesitation, but I just smiled. Oh, I'll be there. Because this time I'm not walking in trying to prove anything. I'm walking in already enough. I imagine it clearly. I step into the room, calm and collected. Hair done effortlessly, outfit simple but sharp. No need for anything flashy. My presence will speak louder than any designer label. I'll greet everyone warmly, yes, even the ones who doubted me. I'll hug my grandma tight, compliment my younger cousins. Help with the dishes. I won't rush. I won't hide. I'll be magnetic not because I'm trying to be, but because peace radiates. And then of course she see me. My cousin. Maybe she glance quickly and look away. Maybe she say nothing. Or maybe she walk up, force a smile, and pretend everything is fine. Either way, I won't flinch. Because I'm not bitter anymore. I've outgrown bitterness. The truth is, I don't need revenge at the next gathering. I just need to be there. Living proof that I didn't need to tear anyone down to rise. She noticed the difference in how I move, how I listen, how I no longer need to explain or justify my life. That's the long game. Because she feel the contrast not just between us, but between who I used to be and who I've become. She remember the cousin who once shrank when mocked. The girl who smiled through tears. And she sees someone unrecognizable now, composed, glowing at peace. And that will say everything I never needed to. I won't throw shade. I won't remind her of the past. I won't bring up the dinner, or the fountain, or the things we never resolved, because my evolution is the story now. And it's the only one I'll be telling. Let her talk, let her wonder. Let her scroll through my quiet wins and wonder when the shift happened. That's not my burden to explain. My only job now? Keep building, keep healing. Keep becoming the woman who walks into rooms and needs no validation. If you re-watching this and you've ever been in a similar place, if someone once made you question your worth made, you feel small, invisible, like you had to fight to be seen. I hope this story reminds you, you don't have to fight for a seat at a table that was never meant to honor you. Build your own table. And when you're ready, walk in not to prove them wrong, but to remind yourself that you were always right. If someone you loved ever turned into your worst critic, know this. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to fight dirty. You just need to rise quietly, fiercely, beautifully. My cousin taught me a painful lesson, but it led me here, focused, free, and completely unbothered. Let them gossip, let them mock. One day they'll look up and realize they were never even close. If you're dealing with a fake friend or a toxic family, this is your sign. Let your glow up be your revenge. And hey, don't forget to subscribe and drop your own story in the comments.